It makes no sense. Stephen Curry's raw truth about Victor Wembanyama echoes through the NBA. The Golden State Warriors arrived in San Antonio in a moment of turbulence. A team once synonymous with precision, spacing, and championship-level detail suddenly found itself scrutinized for early-season inconsistency. The pressure was mounting, and every possession felt heavier than expected for a franchise accustomed to dominance. Yet inside the Frostbank Center, a new force awaited, a basketball phenomenon reshaping expectations of size, mobility, and defensive reach. The Warriors were not just walking into a regular season game, they were heading straight into the eye of the Victor Wembanyama experience. What unfolded was not merely a battle between a dynasty's core and a franchise reinventing itself around a once-in-a-generation prospect. It was a layered, atmospheric confrontation between eras, the enduring brilliance of Stephen Curry and the ascending, surreal promise of Wembanyama. By the time Golden State secured its 125-120 victory, the scoreboard told only part of the story. The true headline emerged from Curry's own mouth, an admission so candid and weighty that it instantly reverberated across the league. Wembanyama, it makes no sense. For the superstar who has spent more than a decade convincing the world that physics is optional, this was as profound a compliment as any rising player could receive. Warriors under pressure. Spurs rising in confidence heading into the game. Golden State was navigating the early chapters of a season defined by inconsistent synergy, rotational uncertainty, and the persistent question of how much longer their dynasty window remains open. Draymond Green's return and Kerr's decision to reset the starting lineup signaled a desire to reestablish identity. Meanwhile, the Spurs were moving in the opposite direction, not toward crisis, but toward prophecy. Their performances against the Rockets and Lakers had shown a young team beginning to figure out its spacing, defensive structure, and interior strategies around Wembanyama. Spurs fans filled the arena with rare pre-winter energy, sensing a defining moment. The collision between these teams brought urgency from one and ambition from the other, creating an environment charged with expectation. Curry redesigns his game. In real time, Stephen Curry is no stranger to reinvention. Over the last 15 seasons, he has altered offensive spacing league-wide, forcing coaches, from Popovic to Spoelstra, to rebuild defensive formulas. But against San Antonio, particularly with Wembanyama patrolling the interior and contesting the arc with the reach of a satellite tower, Curry adjusted his game with surgical precision. He attacked physically, he manipulated pace, he turned a finesse game into a relentless march to the line. Curry attempted 16 free throws, a number rarely associated with a player most known for elegance rather than power. Astonishingly, this equaled the total free throw attempts of the entire Spurs roster. The Spurs defense, anchored by Wembanyama's 8-foot wingspan and unprecedented mobility for his size, forced Curry into new scoring layers. His 5-for-16 performance from deep was not an off night, it was the product of a defensive anomaly altering trajectories he normally dictates. Wembanyama's influence forced the game's greatest shooter to become a different version of himself. That alone speaks volumes. The Curry-Wembanyama dynamic, era meets evolution post-game. Curry explained the reality of facing a player unlike anyone he has encountered. I tried a few rainbow shots over him. I missed them all, but it's not my shooting that worries me. Wembanyama comes to challenge you in a way that makes absolutely no sense. For Curry to admit he recalculated mid-game, after 15 seasons of recalculating everyone else, is monumental. Wembanyama doesn't merely block shots, he distorts decision-making. His presence stretches court geometry, forces shooters to launch trajectories they aren't accustomed to, and compresses ball handlers' decision windows. Even seasoned NBA veterans are discovering that the angles they've used for years no longer exist. A historic night for Spurs' young core. Though the Spurs fell 125-120, their internal storylines were just as significant. Both Victor Wembanyama and Stephen Castle recorded triple-doubles, an almost unheard-of pairing for a young duo still establishing rhythm. Wembanyama's triple-double defense playmaking, interior dominance, perimeter disruption, scoring efficiency. Castle's triple-double controlled pace, defensive switching, supporting creation, stabilizing the offense. Both performances indicate a future in which San Antonio may possess one of the most versatile two-way cores in the league. Despite the loss, the Spurs walked off the court with confirmation their future is accelerating faster than anyone predicted. Golden State's veterans, one more statement of survival for the Warriors. The victory was more than a win in the standings. It was a reminder of identity. Draymond Green re-established his defensive voice. Klay Thompson rediscovered rhythm. Curry once again demonstrated that his influence is not reliant on perfection from deep. Golden State avoided sinking deeper into early season uncertainty, while also proving that when pushed, the dynasty core can still summon a high-level response. But their win also exposed a more concerning truth: if Wembanyama already forces defensive overhauls at age 21, what happens in 3 or 4 years? The POI debate, early but unavoidable after Curry's comments, conversations around the league intensified about Wembanyama's standing in the Defensive Player of the Year race. But despite the growing noise, several realities remain. The season is long, 71 games remain. Awards require consistency and team success. Availability is crucial for a player with Wembanyama's size. Voters often lean toward experienced candidates unless dominance is undeniable. Still, Wembanyama has shifted perception. His defensive metrics, contest rates, and positional fluidity are pushing him into historically rare territory. If his progression continues uninterrupted, the debate may transform into something bigger than toy. It may become a conversation about redefining modern defense entirely. The game larger than its score, symbolism, momentum, and future narratives. This matchup represented more than a notch in the season calendar. It was a reflection of broader trajectories. For the Warriors, a statement of resilience, a revival of veteran leadership, a reminder that golden era principles still apply. For the Spurs, a confirmation that their rebuild is ahead of schedule, proof that Wembanyama is already warping offensive behavior, early evidence that Castle is a long-term cornerstone for the NBA at large. Curry's words signal that Wembanyama is not just promising, he is transformational. Players like Giannis, Durant, Embiid, and Jokic have changed the league in their eras, but Wembanyama is shifting physics, spacing, and rhythm in ways that feel unprecedented. The final picture, past greatness acknowledging future greatness. Golden State may have won the game, but the night belonged to something deeper, the acknowledgement of a rising titan by one of basketball's all-time giants. For Stephen Curry, a player who changed the sport with unthinkable shot-making, to look at Victor Wembanyama and admit that it makes no sense is more than praise. It is a passing of recognition between eras. Wembanyama is not just the future, he is already shaping the present, and the NBA will be built around how teams attempt, most likely unsuccessfully, to solve him.